Good morning. Alison Reiner here on Project Positive Change. I'm your loved again coach and a very, very happy member of Project Positive Change. I'm slightly late this morning. I got caught up actually working on exactly what I'm about to talk to you on this morning, boundaries, working on a project that I'm putting together at the moment. And I thought it was a good topic to bring to you on the first day of October, on the first day of the week. And it's a subject that, no matter how strong you are in yourself, how self-confident you are, how high your self-esteem is, at some point we all get caught up in really questioning whether our boundaries work for us, and really questioning how to put in place something that ensures that we don't fall into people pleasing. And that's really what I want to talk to you about today. Say hello when you pop on, so that I can say hello back. I can see that there are some people coming on and disappearing off again. So if you're interested in hearing about people pleasing, how you move from that onto somebody who has really strong boundaries. And believe it or not, we all have boundaries. And I speak to clients and they say, I don't have any boundaries. We all have boundaries. Most of the time, they are other people's boundaries. They're things that we feel we should have in place, but they're not really, they don't really resonate with who you are. They're things that you feel you should feel strongly about. Or if you're somebody that doesn't have boundaries, or particularly strong boundaries, you'll find that they're just pushed very far away. But there will be that tipping point where no matter how strongly you hold a conviction that you don't have boundaries, it will kick in. Often for me, I was somebody who could not say no to anybody else, and I'll give you some of the reasons that it's difficult for us to say no in a moment. But I would have said I was somebody who had no boundaries at all, who let people clamber all over me, who, why? Because I got something out of it, of course I did. But I wasn't able to say no until you pushed me too far. And that too far often involved my children. That was the first place that I became aware that yes, I did have boundaries, and they were much closer to me than they were for myself. You do something to my child, you treat my child in a way that is unhealthy, unsafe, whatever, then my boundaries kick in immediately. So we all have boundaries. It's just a case of finding where they are at the moment, finding what they mean for you, and beginning to change them slightly to fit with your own personal core values. A lot of us, there are a lot of boundaries that we hold in common with other people, but there are a lot that we take on because society tells us we should, or our parents have taught us that it's right or wrong to do this or not do that. And in the end, we have these boundaries in place that don't really fit who we are as a person. So a lot of the time when we talk about not having boundaries, we mean we don't have boundaries that fit us. And what that means is it's very difficult to invoke them. It's very difficult to put them in place and hold them in place if they don't really resonate with you, if they're not really who you are at your core, if they're not really defending your set of beliefs, your set of values. It's very difficult to hold them in place. So what often happens is we try and we try and try, and then we just give up. And and for whatever reason, we can start to move towards the other end of the scale, which is very much people pleasing and codependency. And that people pleasing comes from, well, it sounds lovely, doesn't it? People pleasing. Who wouldn't want to please people? We all want to please people to an extent. But when that people pleasing begins to erode how you feel about yourself, how you view yourself, and how other people treat you, it crosses a line. It goes from being of service to others and takes a step into really not being of service to yourself, and more importantly, beginning to treat yourself as you would not wish others to treat you. We teach people how to treat us by the way we treat ourselves. So if you're somebody that struggles to say no, to other people, if you say no when you really mean yes, if you say no, sorry, if you say yes when you mean no, because actually if you said no when you meant yes, we'd have a different set of problems. But if you say no and then you feel hugely guilty about it, or you're terrified, you're worried, you're full of fear that you've upset somebody, you've angered somebody, or you've disappointed somebody, these are all, these are all problems that come from people pleasing, and it's bigger brother, if you like, codependency. And what that means is, if I am saying yes to something that I don't want to do for fear of somebody else's reaction, or because I don't feel strong enough to say no and put boundaries in place, then what I'm effectively doing is I'm handing control over to somebody else. I'm handing control to somebody for the way I feel about myself. Now, I can see that people are arriving and disappearing, and I'm not sure if it's because I've got a bad connection. So if you are here, could you just pop me a little message to say, yep, I'm here, or send me a thumbs up or something, just so that I know that I'm not disappearing into the abyss every so often. That would be good. And I'm not seeing anything, so maybe that just means that I'm not seeing anything. So anyway, when we're in that, space. Thank you. So you are hearing me. That's perfect. Thank you very much, Ilham. When we're in that space where it's so difficult to say no for whatever reason, for whatever fear that comes up for you, fear of rejection, fear of making somebody else angry or disappointing someone else, or really just not finding a good enough reason within yourself for saying no, then it means that we're falling into that sort of codependent relationship, that we depend on other people's opinion of us to feel good in ourselves. And that's not a healthy place to be. And that's what I want to eradicate. I want to take away that feeling that other people have power over how you feel, have power over your happiness. Now, they don't know they've got power over your happiness. And most of the time, we don't know that they have power over our happiness, because we're so locked up in this game of not being able to put boundaries in place and not being able to say no to other people. So what can we do? First of all, we can recognise it. We can recognise that this is a thing. And it's and it is as simple as that. Yes, I suffer from this. A lot of times my clients say, oh no, I don't, I'm not a people pleaser. I don't have this problem. And I remember on one occasion I asked a client, when I was launching a new program, I said, would you mind, as somebody that's worked with me for a while, would you mind sharing this out amongst your friends, maybe posting it on your Facebook page? Hi, Sam. And she said, oh no, I can't do that. And I said, oh, okay, fine. Could I ask why? Because what would people think of me? What would people think if I was, to share this? They would think that my marriage was unhappy. They would think that I wasn't coping, that I was weak, that I was. So, that in itself is people pleasing. I'm not doing something, I'm not taking action that might benefit people close to me, because I'm judging my situation by what I think other people might think of me. It's completely messed up thinking. But even that is in a sense people pleasing. So to be able to get rid of that, and to be able to be true to yourself, if she'd said no because I don't believe in what you're doing, or no, I don't like to share other, that's absolutely fine. I have no opinion on that. But no, because I'm scared of what other people are going to think about me if I share this. Live it, and there's a lot of very subtle instances that you can think about in your own daily life. How often do you think, oh, I'm going to do that? And then there's a voice in your head, or a thought in your head, or a picture in your head of somebody, and it's, what would they think? Now, sometimes it's easy enough to overcome that. You say, oh, bugger what they would think, or they'd probably say, yeah, go for it. But the fact that we have this, and maybe if it's a case of what would they think, and it holds you back, and you don't do that thing, or you don't take that action because of what somebody might think, then you are in the grips of pleasing other people without even, without falling into the classic trap of saying yes when you mean no, or not being able to put a boundary in place. Just that thought process already is giving other people some sort of power over how you're how you're living your life, how you're standing in your power or not, as the case may be, because I'm not taking action based on what somebody else may or may not think about me. Now, already that judgment is skewed because it's my perception of what you might think about me. There's no basis of truth in that at all. There's no basis of anything other than what I probably feel myself and project onto you. So this, this is what we want to get rid of. This, am I doing that? Okay, yeah, I am. And the next thing is, what is it costing me? What have I missed out on doing? What fun things have I not done? I haven't taken up ballet dancing at the age of 50 because, or even belly dancing. Why? Because people might laugh at me. People might think that somebody of my age shouldn't do that. So I'm not going to do it for that reason. There are so many things when you actually sit down and you list them out, you realise how much you miss out on by giving other people this power. How many times, how many relationships have disappeared, have been lost because you couldn't put firm boundaries in place that allowed people to understand what was okay and what wasn't okay in terms of how they interacted with you. A lot of people put on you because they don't know any different, because you never tell them any different. I was, my husband was shocked when we started to rebuild our relationship, rebuild our marriage, when I said, you have no idea how hurt I was that you did this and this and this and this, and how many times you arranged to have people come around for dinner without even mentioning it to me. And he said, but you never said anything. You never told me. How could he possibly know? He thought I was just a moody old mare because, I'd be perfectly happy, yeah, come in. And other times I'd be sulking, but I wasn't saying what the problem was. I was expecting him to, to second guess it. Yeah. It ruins relationships. It ruins your sense of self-esteem because you berate yourself. I want to say no, but I find myself yet again saying yes. How stupid am I? Why can I not be stronger? Why can I not be more confident? Why can I not? And and that story and that that mental beating up process, you're calling yourself names, you're thinking badly of yourself, you're eroding your own sense of self, your own sense of self-esteem, confidence. You're bringing yourself down. So it ruins the relationship you have with yourself. It ruins the relationship you have with other people. And even, to a very extreme point, it can make you withdraw from other people. I don't want to put myself in that situation. I don't want to be around people because they might ask me, and then I know what happens. I'll want to say yes. So I want to say no. I'll end up saying yes. I'll resent them. I'll berate myself, and and I'll probably turn up with bad grace, or I may cancel at the last minute, pissing everybody off into the bargain. So these awful little mechanisms that we get into just because we haven't set those healthy boundaries. Why haven't we set them? Because we don't understand what they're costing us. So first of all, acknowledge. Secondly, identify what it's costing. The next thing is, what is your mechanism? What happens? Get really clear on what happens for you when you feel, because we always feel that somebody's about to ask us to do something, or we're going to find ourselves in a situation that we're uncomfortable about, and and you start to bristle. What happens for you? Get really clear on what what that does for you, how you react, what you say, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about other people. What has it cost you in terms of relationships or in terms of time? The next one is on the same theme, but it's slightly different. Often we say yes because we can't think of a good enough reason to say no. I don't have anything in my diary for that moment, for that day, for that time. But what you're actually forgetting to do is to take into account the fact that you need to make sure that your cup's filled to overpouring. It has to be absolutely, overpouring before you can really give your best to somebody else. So if you can't find a good enough reason, if you're putting somebody else's needs before your own, again, what's that costing you? What's it costing your health? What's it costing your emotional health? Is it costing you financially? Often we find ourselves paying for things or doing things that are costing us money that really we don't want to do. Again, because we can't put those boundaries in place. So what's it costing you emotionally, physically, mentally, financially? And what's it going to take for you to put yourself first? How are you going to judge whether you can say yes and know that you're doing it, with your cup overflowing, or if you're saying yes because you can't find a good enough reason, i.e. you're not taking your own self-care, and putting it first, not making it the most important thing in your life. Because frankly, without it, you're not going to be any good to anybody. All these people that you love and you want to serve, you're not going to be any good unless you're the best version of you. You can only be that when you're really, really looking after yourself and you're really, again, having those boundaries in place, being able to know when it's good to say yes and it's good to say no. And then you start to train people. We all, a lot of us, me included, had, and maybe not so much now, but if I'm feeling a bit down, I can still fall back into that, that pattern of thinking. But we think we're letting people down. We think that, we'll push people away by saying no. Actually, when we're really clear about, our yeses and our nos, and we're turning up when we say yes, and we're turning up with the right frame of mind and with the right energy behind us, and when we're saying no for the right reasons, people begin to understand and they begin to respect you more. You really garner respect from other people because you're respecting yourself. That you can't when you're just in that constant, yes sir phase. When you can't say no to other people. So when you're saying yes and meaning yes and no when it has to be no, what you're really saying is, I value myself, and therefore I expect you to value me too. And people do. When we teach them how to treat us, they tend to fall into line. And that gets rid of that whole mental thought process, I'm doing this and nobody ever does anything for me, where we feel put upon, we feel taken for granted, we don't feel appreciated because we're giving all this effort and nothing's coming back our way. Well, mostly it's not coming back because we don't ask. And also, that true people pleaser in us, it's too difficult to accept it even if we did ask. Or even if it was offered. Oh, no, I'm fine. No, don't worry about it, I can cope. And then we get mad. We get mad that nobody gives us anything. We're not asking and we're not accepting. So again, we need to get that out of the way. We want to really eradicate that thought process and get those boundaries in place. The next part of the process is really understanding. As I said right at the very beginning, we all have boundaries. Sometimes they're not our boundaries. They're boundaries that we've picked up from our parents or from society, and they don't really sit, well with us, which is why it's difficult to implement them, because they don't work in our lives and with our core values. So the next thing is, who am I? And what is important to me? Where do I have to have boundaries in my life? And again, let's remember, these aren't to keep people at bay. These are to keep you safe from your people-pleasing thinking. If I know what the boundary is, then I don't have to get into that. I don't have to have that mental chatter. What will I do? What will I do? I know that for me it's not good, so I say no. Or I know that when I feel like this, it's best that I say no. So it's easy to say no. I don't have to go into my head and think about it. I know what the answer is and I can go with it. So the knowing who you are, knowing what your core values are, really helps you get clear on where you have to put these boundaries in place. And of course, to start with, we build them as high as we build those glass walls to keep other people away from us. As we get more used to having them in place, and the ones that are working for us, working in our lives, and actually, paradoxically, bringing people closer to us, because when they begin to be able to trust us, when we're being strong in ourselves, it's much easier for people to trust what we're saying and to move close to us. People feel they might take advantage of us. They might dismiss it, but they feel when we're in that resentful place of saying yes and we mean no. However, when we're being strong and we're saying yes and we know we mean it, or we're saying no because it just doesn't fit, our cup isn't full, we're busy, we don't want to overcommit, people respect that, and it brings them that step closer to you. So once you've got those core values in place, or you know what those core values are, you know yourself, and you know where you need to start looking to bolster up your boundaries, then it's a case of implementing them and practicing. And it might even, with those people close to you, with my own husband, I explained exactly what I was doing. I'm putting boundaries in place because I need to keep myself safe from me. I need to have a mechanism that I can ensure that I'm not doing what isn't good for me or doing what I don't want to do just because I'm scared or just because I'm in a weak moment. He was very understanding and actually pretty amused. He's not somebody that suffers the same problem that I did. Therefore, he was willing to let me play around with them. Some people, you don't even need to talk to about it, but let it go. Do whatever you have to do. Tell people, don't tell people, whatever feels good for you. And then get down to setting them in place. And then, of course, tweaking. As and when we can tweak them. It doesn't need to be, they don't need to be fixed in stone. They work for you today, they might not work for you in 6 months' time because you've changed as a person. You can loosen off a bit. But the important thing is we know there's a problem. We know why there's a problem. We know what it's costing us. We know vaguely, roughly, what we need to do to put it right, and then we need to implement. That's the process from going from people pleasing to having these really good, strong, healthy boundaries. And it's not actually that difficult to put in place. It takes a bit of work. It takes a bit of self-care. It takes a bit of being gentle on you, and it does take going inside and understanding, being completely honest with yourself. Why do I allow this? Why do I allow it? What's the fear? What do I think I'm going to get out of it? What's the gain for me? What am I hoping to achieve by doing what I'm doing? Because there's always a hope. We always want something back when we're in that place. Normally, we want love, recognition, attention, a sense of security, a sense of belonging. Once you've identified what it is that's driving you, it's easy to turn that around and work out a healthier approach to getting those things that we all want and all desire in our life. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for being here. If you get any questions, I would love, I'll check when I finish if there are any questions. But if you have any questions, please do reach out to me. If you're interested in learning more about how to set these good, healthy, strong boundaries and getting rid of this people-pleasing once and for all, sign up for my for information. I'm about to launch a 6-week group program which is going to take us exactly from, in the process that I've just explained to you. Not launched yet, but if you'd like some details on it and you want to be kept in the loop when it is launched, I'll pop the link in and you can put yourself on the waiting list. I'd love to have as many people there, because really there is no need for us to say yes when we mean no anymore. And it's not doing any of us any good. It's not doing us any good. It's not doing our relationships any good. And it's not, it's not showing people who we truly are. It's not showing people the heart of ourselves when we've got this, people-pleasing mask on. Thank you very much for watching. It's been great. It's actually been lovely having some people on live. Normally, on a Monday morning, there aren't that many people. So thank you so much for being here. It makes it so much nicer talking and knowing that there's somebody on the other side. Have a great week. Have a fantastic Monday. And of course, a great month, because we're in the first of the month. So thank you, everyone. Bye.